the good news is here it is December 1st, December 2nd. I'm lost in the time differences. Everything's working for the most part. Generally speaking, we know this. Facebook goes through highs and lows. It's in a low right now, but come January 1st, it might step back up again. But the general idea is pretty much everything is working for the most part. Even if something is getting restricted, we're seeing submitting an ID is almost 100% success recovery. So maybe Facebook's actually proactively fixing things. I don't know, but we're seeing this has been the calmest Facebook has probably been all year for us so far.
Hey, what's up? This is Stan. We are here at Affiliate World Bangkok, and today my guest is John Cena. Actually, it's not John Cena, it's John Casto. Starts with a C, so the same. John, what's up? How's it going?
Of course, the smaller John Cena.
No, the bigger one. The visible one. John is actually a e-commerce entrepreneur who creates and manages multiple Facebook ad accounts to send traffic to his websites. He actually also teaches people how to do it better. He has a very cool YouTube channel. We showcase each other many times. We also had a podcast together where we talk about Facebook ad accounts, and today we're going to talk about the same. But what changed? How's the conference so far?
That's awesome. Awesome. Really good connections. A lot of high-level players, both on the lead gen side, both on the e-commerce side, and some interesting spaces, crypto, casino, game, stuff I don't dabble with too much myself, but it's interesting to hear and learn.
Cool. Yeah, there's many verticals and many ways how you can, where you can send Facebook traffic, right? And naturally, Facebook traffic means that you need to have many Facebook ad accounts. What do you think? What is currently working in this space?
Well, the good news is here it is December 1st, December 2nd. I'm lost in the time differences. Everything's working for the most part. Generally speaking, we know this. Facebook goes through highs and lows. It's in a low right now, but come January 1st, it might step back up again. But the general idea is pretty much everything is working for the most part. Even if something is getting restricted, we're seeing submitting an ID is almost 100% success recovery. So maybe Facebook's actually proactively fixing things. I don't know, but we're seeing this has been the calmest Facebook has probably been all year for us so far.
What's a good setup that is currently working so far? We briefly touched on the fact that it's always better to kick off with pre-existing accounts. Either it's farmed from a seller or it's resold from a real person. What do you think? What's a good setup that is working right now, at least for you?
If you have the choice and the option, which is typically rare, you usually exhaust initially. Having real profiles is always best, right? So if you've already used friends and family, which is nothing's ever going to be better than that because they're real accounts, is going to be purchasing accounts that are real that someone else sells you, right? And then after that, either farming on your own and that gets split off into quality of farming, how you do it, which we could talk about too, and purchasing some accounts that someone else farms with the farming software or manually.
With these type of accounts from sellers, what do you think? At which factors you have to look at when deciding which seller to choose from? Because there's many sellers. There's sellers of agency ad accounts. There's sellers of farmed accounts. Some of them maybe cost starting from $50. Some of them cost $700. Some of them already have some ad spend. Some of them they don't. What do you think? What are the criteria to look for when choosing what accounts to buy and from whom to buy them from?
So I hate to say price. I hate to ever say price is the main thing to start with, but often it is because I've spent $50 an account. I've spent $10 an account. And often it's still a numbers game to some extent. The numbers game is going to depend on Facebook's mood that month, as we both know. But generally speaking, any account is a target for Facebook, unless it's a real profile that has someone was messaging in yesterday in the inbox and you could clearly see that. Any account outside of that has relatively equal value for the most part, unless it was farmed in the last 3 months. Those are going to be probably on the bottom of the list of priority and value.
Yeah, as we talked before, generally Facebook bans everyone due to the fact they simply put higher risk scores on accounts that are not aged enough.
Right.
That's why we have to go with existing accounts. What do you think? Once somebody acquires an existing account and they've purchased it, what are the typical like warm-up practices you can recommend before kicking off a campaign?
I would specifically say it's what you want to avoid doing, right? So things you want to avoid doing is joining a business manager fast, creating a business manager fast, or let's say you have a business manager already on the account when you receive it, adding an agency ad account to that business manager relatively fast, and or adding yourself as an admin to that ad account that gets added into your business manager. Like those kinds of actions, they're not instant triggers, but they're super high risk. You could wake up the next day never having run an ad with that profile and have it restricted from advertising.
You briefly talked about structure, right? So one of the structures is actually to be invited for the agency account to invite your business manager, right?
To be invited to shared to your business manager.
Right. What do you think? What's a good structure? What's a good structure that works?
This always changes. This is the fun part.
What's good right now?
Right now, I don't want to say everything's working, but compared to a month ago, I would recommend separate as much as possible. Because through May, June, July.
What do you mean by separating?
So let's say I've got a business manager with a shared agency ad account into it. That's the primary ad account we use. And then I have, let's say, 2 or 3 profiles on that. And that would be more isolated from the next one if I replicate that. But there's no crossover or minimal crossover between those profiles. And maybe they're running a similar offer. Maybe it's the same offer. Maybe you duplicate the offer.
Got it.
But in the past, for example, I would stack it, right? When Facebook was also calmer in June going into July, we would have one business manager, 5 agency ad accounts, 5 profiles, and we would duplicate that same profile, same agency ad accounts, and another business manager, basically just creating a backup if the business manager gets banned because it didn't affect everything else. But as Facebook always changes, what we found the trend was going into Q3, now in the Q4, was right before this calm period, was that Facebook would actually ban everything connected in any way from our experience. Now, some of that was the offer we were running. We saw this repetitively with a specific offer we ran that was white hat that shouldn't have been banned, but it's Facebook, right? So I changed my advice and my opinion, and I've gone back to being more conservative and separating structures is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. An example of separated structure?
So you have a business manager, share the agency ad account into it. You have 2 to 3 profiles dedicated. One typically sits there as an admin. Maybe one's a media buyer admin profile or employee level profile. And then maybe you add an additional one that holds the page and shares the page.
Would you need to add these 3 profiles as a means of having, let's say, a legitimate structure, or as a means of having free profiles where you can send traffic from, set up ads?
No, typically one's going to be dedicated to actually doing the media buying.
So you actually have these free profiles as a means to show kind of like some company structure to Facebook?
Specifically, what we're trying to do is have a backup in case one of those admin gets restricted. Because let's say you have one profile on the BM and it gets restricted and everything else.
You can switch to another one. Mm-hmm.
Well, you can't add anyone to the business manager. So then you have to reshare. You have to move the agency ad account to another business manager or get more profiles. Then you have to wait because you can't join right away. You can't launch ads right away. So it's really just a mean of diversification, having backups in place.
Regarding agency accounts, like I know that you work with with a couple of agency ad accounts, and you also have connections with these agencies. And as I know, if you have an agency ad account, you are directly talking to Facebook or Meta, right? You're directly talking to them, at least a representative.
Right, exactly.
Like if, for example, an account gets restricted, you obviously can ask like your account manager in Meta and ask them, why was this account detected? Did you try that?
We tried this many times. The answer that we usually get if we're working through like an HTT pool, for example, which is one of the largest agency ad account providers, what we find is the response they get directly from Meta is, we can't tell you why you got banned. It was basically one of our policies. We won't tell you because you'll know how to work around the systems.
Do they reference the policy at least?
They'll reference whatever the system shows.
Okay.
At best.
All right. But they reference back to the policy.
Which takes you nowhere. That's why we have to sit here and have these conversations and try to problem solve this ourselves.
True, true. What do you think? What are the trends for the upcoming 2023 year?
I think as far as Facebook goes, or what specifically?
Yeah, specifically regarding, for example, right now we know what structure works, what to expect in the next year, right? So how to be ready for the upcoming changes?
I think right now, anytime it's calm, like this is what I tell the guys in my group.
It's usually calm before the storm.
It's always calm before the storm. And when it's calm, that's when you actually need to be preparing and farming and acquiring. Because the worst
Or
thing
spending more.
we're spending more. What I've found, and I've been guilty of this myself, is you'll get comfortable and complacent. You won't worry about having backups in place. You maybe one goes down. You're like, oh, that probably should have happened. And then Facebook turns up, and then it becomes very difficult, and you lose everything at once. And then that's when it's extra painful, because usually you have something working, an offer scaling, and then you have to rebuild. But we all know rebuilding takes time, and that's the most frustrating thing. And so right now in this moment, here we are in December. It is calm right now. We can verify this between ourselves. This is when I would be investing time, energy, and money into building up additional separated structures to prepare for whatever may happen or may not happen.
True. Also, right now, we are in midst of upcoming recession. What do you think? Could be this the reason why it's calm right now on Facebook?
It could be. I mean,
Speculations.
maybe. I think something's definitely changing. That's all I can guarantee you from what I see as a user experience. In for example, in September, you basically couldn't make a brand new Facebook page without it getting restricted within hours, if not days. Maybe 5% would stick with no issues. 20% of the ones that get banned would recover, but it was a nightmare. The problem wasn't profiles. It wasn't business managers. It wasn't your ads getting rejected. It was simply your pages getting disabled with no clarity or no exact feedback from Facebook. And what I found is they fixed it, because somehow come October 1st, that didn't disappear, but it basically disappeared, right? So something's changed. That's all I can say. But since that time, things have been very calm, and it gets me anxious when things are calm, you know.
That's true. When things are tough, you can at least expect some results. I also know that you told me that you've sold your gym.
I sold my gym.
What are your plans for the upcoming years?
We're
Upcoming year.
We're planning to actually move to Colombia. So my fiance's from Colombia. So we'll be moving to Colombia at some point, maybe January, February at the earliest, if not Q2. And I plan to build out a full team of Colombians there. Do a lot more content like this. So I plan on having a video guy that's just shooting content. We talk about lead gen, e-commerce, Facebook bands, but then just keep doing what we do. We earn pretty much all of our money from doing lead gen. That's our main focus right now. Some cash and delivery in the e-commerce space as well. But I plan on growing a big team. I'm super excited and attend a lot more events like this.
Definitely. Man, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, it was very useful.
Appreciate you.